Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I want to do a video on 4 things that I dislike about my Mustang GT. And the reason why I didn't do the typical like 5 things is because it was even hard to come up with 4 things. And that's completely honest with you guys. It's hard to come up with things I dislike about this car, but there are a few little minor annoyances. This is just my opinion and the things that I think are annoying. But for those of you guys who are new to the channel, I want to show you guys a little walk around. So this is a 2020 that I bought new. Rapid red base model GT 10-speed, and I did a few little things so far, just a little spoiler, window tint, just some tiny stuff. And I will have a mod video coming out later on the must-have mods for a Mustang GT in my personal opinion, so stay tuned for that video if you guys are interested. But let's go ahead and hop inside, go for a drive, and let's get started with number 1. All right guys, just hopped inside here. Starting off with number 1 is that base model Mustang GTs still come with this tiny screen. So that's kind of a disappointment, especially for how expensive the base starting price is of the Mustang GT. And I know it's a car that's not necessarily designed for luxury and stuff like that. It's more towards performance. I feel like this screen is kind of unacceptable in 2020, because when the S550 platform just came out in 2015, they just had a base and then a premium. But for 2018 and up models, they have like a mid package that includes the big screen. So I feel like they should have just made the big screen standard on the 18 and up models, because I don't know, this is just unacceptable. But for my purposes, I like the car for its performance and stuff like that, so I can deal with this little screen. But I definitely think that base Mustang GTs should not come with this small of a screen. Let's get going here and get on to number 2. So number 2 is the rattles on the interior. So I made a video about 5 things I disliked about my Mustang EcoBoost, and I believe that was one of them. So even with my Mustang EcoBoost and then switching over into this car, they both have their fair share of random rattles. So for example, my Mustang EcoBoost had a weird rattle coming from like this area right here, and I actually made a video on how to fix that rattle. So if you guys have a rattle coming from this area of your Mustang, feel free to watch that video. But anyway, the EcoBoost had a rattle coming from here. This car has a rattle sometimes coming from like this air vent or something. Like if I press on it, it'll stop doing the rattle. And then sometimes it feels like there's a rattle from like up here or like in the gauge cluster or something. So again, those are things that are just kind of annoying. And I feel like at least when the car is brand new, it shouldn't have rattles. If it gets to be kind of older, then it makes sense to start developing rattles here and there. But when it's brand new, I feel like it should not come off the factory with a rattly interior. And when the interior rattles, it just makes you feel like, oh, you know, the car is cheap or something like that. When realistically, I love this car, but when, you know, little things like that pop up, it's kind of annoying, you know. For number 3 is the inconsistencies within the Mustang lineup. And what I mean by that is there's so many different problems that different cars have. I'm not saying like problems, but little annoyances. For example, some have interior rattles, just like I mentioned. Some 5.0s have an engine tick. Mine, for right now at least, does not have an engine tick. So that's an inconsistency amongst the lineup. And then also some Mustangs have horrible fit and finish. This Mustang is a little bit better than my EcoBoost Mustang, but because my EcoBoost Mustang, the hood was kind of weird, like this side was like lower than that side, and it was just weird, and then the back area looked a little strange. But there's just so many inconsistencies. Some 10R80s make a lot of whining noises, which is normal by the way, but some make louder whines than others. Have to get up to speed here. Oh my gosh, I love the sound. Back to what I was saying. But yeah, it's just the whole Mustang lineup is inconsistent. Some just have weird little issues here and there. My alignment is good according to the alignment machine when I took it to my dealership, but my steering wheel just still seems like it's slightly off-centered towards this way, like that. And it's just, my EcoBoost was a lot better, but the EcoBoost seemed to be perfectly in the middle. So again, both brand new cars, both out of the same factory, just different for some reason. And maybe that's amongst all car manufacturers. Maybe it's not just limited to the Mustang, but in my experience with Mustangs, and since I work at a dealership and experiencing different Mustangs, they're all different in the way that everything is. Fit and finish, rattles, everything is just completely different for each one. And then last but not least, like I said, it was hard coming up with 5, which is why I came up with 4. The paddle shifters are kind of, they're fast when you're on throttle, and then they're slow when you're not on throttle. So let's demonstrate that. See how long it took me to go to second? So let's go to third here, if I get straight here. So look, I'm light on the gas. It's actually pretty decent when you're on the gas, like I mentioned. But like if you, let's try some downshifts here. Click, there it goes. Click. I mean, to be honest, it's not that slow, but it's definitely not like a ZF8 speed, which is still a torque converter automatic. I'm not going to compare it to a dual clutch. But yeah, it's just click, there it goes. See how that big delay? But if I'm on the gas, let's drop down a couple gears here. Let's get on the gas, and then you'll see how quick the paddle shifters are when you're on the gas. See how quick they are when you're on the gas? So that's impressive, how quick they are when you're on the gas. But let's say you want to drive normally, just drive with the paddle shifters. It's slow enough to make it so that you don't want to just drive normally with paddle shifters. And I know it's apples to oranges, but I drove a GT500 back when they first came out, and I was really lucky to drive one. And the paddle shifters are so instant that you can literally drive around just using the paddle shifters, because you can choose your gears so quickly. They're slow enough to where it makes you not want to do that. So what I use the paddle shifters for in this car is if I want to like hear the exhaust or want to rev it out a little bit more, or let's say I'm doing like a roll race or something, then I'll use the paddles to get me to the right gear, and then I'll put it in drive. But yeah, using the paddle shifters, just driving around normally, they're slow enough to where you don't want to do that. But those are my 4 things. Let me know what you think. Let me know the 4 things that you dislike about your Mustang, because I'm always curious to hear you guys' feedback. I like hearing what you guys have to say. And if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe for more Mustang content. I'll do more stuff on my car, and I'll see you guys in the next one.